So let's welcome in Mark Jeanneret. He is the president and CEO of Visit Erie. Mark, good to see you as always.
Yeah, great to be here, Joel.
All right. So I said off the air that we're going to kind of do a retrospective because I think you have some stories to tell. but honestly, you were born in Canada, but tell us a little bit about your citizenship right now.
Yeah,
I guess
I'm a proud Canadian. I like to tell everybody that I'm a very proud Canadian. I am a legal resident alien and have been one since probably late 2000s after I got married. And I just grew up in Canada, big hockey fan, big sports fan. Was lucky enough to have basically grown up in the Buffalo Sabres locker room, as my father was the play-by-play announcer for the Sabres for over 50 years. I wanted to be like him, so that was my career goal.
Did you go into broadcasting, or?
I did. I went to school in Welland, Ontario, Niagara College of Applied Arts and Technology. We call it NC State over there. Not quite NC State, but my brother actually was a teacher there for a long time in his career. And my goal was, again, to be a broadcaster, to be a play-by-play announcer. I took a circuitous route to get there. I did lots of sports for the local cable TV station. Some of them I did okay. Some of them I was horrendous at. I remember doing swimming, and I had no idea who was leading the heat. And that sort of stands out to me. I did soccer, which was a little slower moving than I was used to. And I got into newspaper for a while and was a newspaper reporter and ended up
for the Buffalo News,
actually for the St. Catharines Standard primarily, which is the biggest Southern Ontario newspaper, and covered sports. And at some point or another, the Niagara Falls Thunder were in Niagara Falls, which was the OHL team that eventually moved here to Erie, and that became my beat. And I guess, unfortunately, at the time, that was for the community anyways, that was landing around the time when they were talking about moving. And at that time, there was no idea where they were going to move. I spent a lot of time with the team, had some great relationships dating back to my younger days with the head coach at the time. Their best player was his brother. So I had some family ties, and I got to know Sherry Basson. And, Sherry was nice enough to share with me some information off the record, and I was able to sort of connect some dots. And one day in 95, I called a guy by the name of Casey Wells and said, hey, I hear there's a chance that this hockey team might be moving down here. And Casey was gracious enough to take my call as the executive director at the time, the Erie County Convention Center Authority. That whole transaction of the franchise moved, and one day out of the blue, Sherry gave me a call and, appreciated the fact that I kept the sources between him and I. And he said, hey, do you want to work for me? And I said, sure. And he said, how about coming to Erie? And I had to go to CAA, which was the AAA equivalent, to get a triptych to find out how to get to Erie because there was no GPS. And,
right.
And it was obviously a good meeting, and I met Ron Sertz for the first time, who at that point was the director of operations, who eventually became my boss again with the Erie Sports Commission as the first executive director with the Erie Sports Commission. And got an opportunity to do play-by-play hockey full-time, and loved every minute of it. And
that had to be kind of a cool moment for the family to have dad and son at the time.
Yeah, I think my dad has passed. I think he was proud of the fact that I was following his footsteps. And we actually got a chance to work together in 1999 in Buffalo. I was doing the pregame, intermissions, and postgame shows on radio, and he was obviously doing the play-by-play. And one of my greatest memories is the Sabres, and I shouldn't say obviously, the Sabres, for the second time in franchise history, advanced to the Stanley Cup Finals to play the Dallas Stars. And myself, my dad, and my brother, who came along, got to work through the entire finals, and we spent a lot of time in Dallas going through the games. The ending was horrendous, and the Brett Hall in the crease, no goal that ended the series. I do remember looking over, the Buffalo Sabres in their 5th year went to the Stanley Cup final. They were a young team. I was too young then. I was 7 years old, but the feeling was that they were going to be regulars, and they never made it back again until 99. And I do remember looking over after Brett Hall scored that goal to my dad, and he'd been there since basically day 2. He started in 71, 72 with the Sabres, and their first season was 70, 71. And I had this look on his face. I thought he had a look on his face to say, yeah, that might have been my last chance.
Wow.
So, but aside from that and the way it ended, what a fantastic opportunity. And, I loved every minute of spending that time with my dad and my brother.
What is it about sports, do you think, that is so visceral to a community? You think about, and you were kind of in an interesting place because you're kind of halfway to Toronto, halfway to Buffalo, but Dad was 100% Sabres, right? So you were a Sabres family and still are. But that identity is there. I mean, talk about Penguins fans. Good Lord. I mean, they're all in. Steelers fans, Browns, and so on. What is it about it, in your opinion?
I think it's that community. I think, I think back to, I talk about that great memory in '99 for the NHL. In 2002, with the Otters, we won the OHL championship for the first time. And Joel, I can't explain to you what that whole playoff run was like. Fans in the stadium or in the arena before warm-ups cheering all through warm-ups. I had a representative from the OHL during one of the later games in the finals. We're standing at the top of the arena, and he said, Mark, if you would have told me this, I would never have believed it. Wow. It was the most fantastic atmosphere ever. We lost Game 4. We're leading the series 3-0. We went to Barrie to play Game 4. We lost Game 4. And on our way back, there were cell phones then, so I shouldn't say, but they were big.
Yeah. Somebody
called the coach, and the coach leaned over to the bus driver and said, hey, drive around the block, because we usually just pull in the back and get.
Yeah.
It's about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. There was a line of people around the block.
Oh my God.
And they were waiting for tickets for Game 5, and cheered the bus. It was fantastic, and of course we won in Game 5, and what a fantastic run that was. And to your point, it was that community. It was after games. Back then it was the Tullio Arena.
Yeah.
Being outside after wins in the playoffs, it was electric. Everybody was happy. Everybody was enjoying the run. And I just think it brought the community together, a commonality that everybody was cheering for the same team.
If I remember back in the mid 90s there, it was not a slam dunk that this community would accept a junior hockey team, a major junior hockey team. Again, the real hockey fans said, okay, this is going to be good. They knew it. But to the average attender of a Blades or Golden Blades or Panthers or whatever, right? They didn't know what this meant for our community. And that really had, like you say, that championship experience in the early 2000s, that really had to knock the socks off of the CHL officials, because they didn't know if the Americans, if the U.S. cities would be as fervent as a Barrie or a Peterborough or something like that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. You're 100% correct. When we came here, and I had the opportunity to be here from day one, we were in the media glorified high school hockey, and the number one player in the world that year was Joe Thornton, who was playing for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, who ended up being drafted first overall by the Boston Bruins. And we were trying to educate the fan base here that had been used to minor pro hockey, that this is the other side of the minor pro hockey that was here, understanding that AHL was here for a while, which is obviously one step away from the NHL. that first year was tough to try to convince people that this was good hockey. And it was like, why should we pay $10 to see glorified high school hockey when at the time Prep had a state hockey team that was perennially either a championship team or contending. So, we had to get through that. And I think what happened in year number 2, and I'm going way back in the history books here.
Right.
Year number 2 of the Otters, we played London in the first round of the playoffs. We were down 3-0 in the series. We rallied back to tie the series, including winning 7-0 here on home ice in game number 6. Ended up losing in overtime in game number 7 in London. At that point, our roster was decimated. 2 or 3 of our best players were injured. And I remember a couple of players then, the day after we lost, they were out at having breakfast somewhere. And, there's 5 or 6 of them together. And, they're just doing what they do and having breakfast. And they usually got over losses quicker than coaching and administrative staff members.
Right.
And a gentleman came over and said, "Hey, give me your check. I'm buying your breakfast."
Oh, my gosh.
And when they told me that story, it sort of resonated to me that, now people get it and how good this hockey is, because it's great hockey.
Fast forward to, let's put a bow on the story here. When did you make the jump, to the front office? I mean, you were kind of front office with the play-by-play, but obviously you had to enter into sports management to kind of jump to the sports commission. Can you kind of tell that story?
Yeah, when I was with the Otters, I was hired as the director of communications.
Yeah.
I think actually I was the manager of communications first. Whatever, doesn't matter. So
Right.
so I had office administrative responsibilities, and that took me through. My primary responsibility was play-by-play, but media relations and working with the players. And you're talking 16, 17, 18-year-olds. Some of them arrived polished. I mean, you looked at Connor McDavid that came in here. Matthew Schaefer, I was at his when they announced him as the number 1 overall pick, and I was blown away by how mature and well-spoken he was as he might have been just 16 at the time. But there was the other end of the scale where there were other guys that really didn't do that very well. Right. So I got to work with them. So I worked with the Otters. I mentioned that I went to Buffalo and I spent a couple of years with the Sabres, came back here again in time for the 2002 championship season. And then at the end of 2000s, I went to Portland, Maine to work in the American Hockey League for the Pirates at the time, and spent a couple of years there. And, you get to the point where a lot of time on buses, and I decided that maybe I wanted a second career. Didn't seem like I was going to make it to the NHL as a full-time announcer, and had a young family at the time, and spent a lot of time away from them. So I left that career and wandered around for a while, and I think life is a lot about relationships. And one day I got a call from Ron Surtz, and Ron was back here. Ron was with the Otters and then with the Bayhawks, and then he too was looking for something else to do and came across sports tourism and sports commissions, and he started talking to me about whether I wanted to come back here and work in this industry that I had no idea about, Joel. I didn't know what he was talking about, despite the fact that I had been sort of working in it my whole life. And I accepted a position as the event services director in 2013, and we had a lot of great success right out of the gate. Our timing was great with sports tourism really becoming an integral part of the tourism industry, the visitor industry. Yeah. We were able to get some exceptional things done in a real quick period of time here in Erie.
All right, we're going to take our first break here. Mark Jeanneret is with us here. He is the new CEO of Visit Erie, going from interim to permanent here. We're going to dive into the state of tourism and a whole lot more stories here. Stay with us. Mark Jeanneret is with us here on Talk Erie, and we're talking about the new your new role, right? I mean, that's what's amazing is the CEO of Visit Erie, and I want to because you came on to the Sports Commission as the events coordinator. But there had to be some thinking and some research about the importance of sports driving tourism. And all we have to do is go back 30 years to, let's say, the creation of the Family First Sports Park and the ideas of those Snickers tournaments where every hotel room, was taken in a, in what, 50-mile radius or something, when those were really going, and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I think again, back to Ron Sertz and giving him credit, he did a pretty intensive study that he presented to both Visit Erie and the Erie County Convention Center Authority, who split the cost of that study about what the impact a sports commission could have, or what impact a sports commission could have on a community. And I think when those Snickers tournaments were going, which was way before the Sports Commission was around, there wasn't anybody talking about sports tourism. It was just a big tournament, and no one connected the dots, I don't think. Sometime between then and the early, probably 2010, maybe a little before that, people started to realize that there was value in sports tournaments. There was tourism value. And then Sports Commission started popping up, and I think we were on that front wave of that. And it works out great. I mean, we've got great venues here. We have great hospitality options that allow the visitors to go and do something outside of the game times. But again, I think it's the openness of our community to open their doors and allow tournament organizers to come in and borrow their facilities for a day, 2 days, 3 days, or even more, that really helped to move us ahead. And some great local organizers. We learned early on that it was easier, and it was never easy, to convince somebody local to do a tournament that would support their organization than to try to attract a tournament here.
Right. Was that how Stars and Stripes, the gymnastics, kind of kicked off a little bit? Or?
Yeah, Stars and Stripes was before us.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, before the Sports Commission. But again, Ron saw that, and Doug Pershin, who was running that, and Lightning Gymnastics, and made an introduction and said, hey, we might be able to help you here. And we were, I wouldn't say we were integral in them eventually moving to the convention center, but that was an encouraging factor to say, Doug, you can continue to do it in the venue you are at. And he bounced around as he continued to grow.
Yeah.
But what about doing it here? This is a big step, and that was the right step to take. And so we were fortunate enough to get a relationship with the Stars and Stripes people of the world, the pool, the state pool tournament. At the time, it was Warner Coyne. We were able to make those relationships and show the value that we could provide to them, and develop those type of homegrown events that aren't looking to go to Harrisburg or go to Pittsburgh or go to Monroeville or wherever. They're happy here because those events are funding their operations.
Talk about how important the whole built infrastructure piece is. You mentioned the convention center. We haven't had the convention center all that long, right? I mean, was it 15 years at this point, or are we at 20 now?
2007. So
okay, so we're at 19 years. But you can't, you don't have that option. Like you're saying, you're having a gymnastics tournament bouncing around, but then you have this tool. You have these hotels that are adjacent. It's, again, in the sports tourism realm, I mean, that has to be the game changer, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, sports tourism and meeting and conventions.
Yeah.
I mean, the convention center changed the trajectory. Family First, Erie Bank Sports Park, the iterations up there, that's impactful. The convention center, I think if those who were responsible for building it could turn back the clock, they might have built it bigger. Because I do think that there's more opportunities out there. I can speak from experience from the sports side of things. pretty tough to get a date in there. Pretty tough to get a weekend in there because the majority of the sports that want to use the convention center are winter sports. It's easier to get a date in there in the summer because people don't want to be inside in the summer. But there are locations or buildings like that are integral to tourism. In the convention center, the attached hotels, the Hampton that's down there now, the restaurants, the new AC hotel that's going to be built. Those are all huge fueling entities that are going to help us continue to bring people to town.
30 seconds. What is the biggest sports event each year these days?
It's between the Sarah Backstrom girls hockey tournament in February and I think the pool tournament, and I don't want to count, and the Frost tournament in June, the softball tournament. Those would be the three, seeing you've put me on a 30-second clock. Those would be the three biggies.
Right. And it's got to be a scenario where, you know, it's tough to get hotels. If you happen to have a bridal shower or a wedding that weekend, might be tough.
I can tell you, don't try to do anything on MLK weekend between Stars and Stripes gymnastics and a hockey tournament that comes in annually.
All right. Mark Jeanneret is with us. We're going to have more ahead here on Talk Erie. You're tuned to Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. We're live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State, also live on YouTube and Facebook. We're talking to Mark Jeanneret. He's been named the permanent president and CEO of Visit Erie. And Mark, we could talk hockey and sports all day long, but let's broaden our scope a little bit here. Again, and here's the new name for the old Tourism and Convention Bureau. It's official Designation Marketing Organization. Can you just kind of tell us about the mission of Visit Erie?
Yeah, I think Convention and Visitors Bureau didn't do organizations justice.
Yeah.
Because it just sort of seemed like, well, you were just welcoming people in. And it has changed dramatically over the last few years, probably 10 years, about Destination Marketing Organization, because the role of Visit Erie right now is to attract people here. And from a sports, tourism, and meetings and conventions to bring group tours into town. So a lot of people in Erie County maybe have heard of Visit Erie, but really probably don't know what we do, because 98% of what we do takes place outside the county, because it's our job to bring as many people as we can into Erie County to take advantage of, all the great attractions and visitor experience opportunities that we provide here.
But your board is made of these folks like Brian Gorman, for example. I mean, these are folks that have made investments not only for the local community, but to be able to be welcoming and provide hospitality across the board. It's interesting to kind of ride that dichotomy of, Visit Erie being the attraction mechanism, yet these are homegrown businesses, right?
Our job is to shout from the rooftops how great Waldameer is.
Yeah.
How great Splash Lagoon is, how great the zoo is, how great, all these things we have here, how great Presque Isle State Park is, how great the sunflowers are going to be, and then
we're going to be there tomorrow,
or if they might already be already shining brightly by now. But that's what our job is as Visit Erie, is to take the story of Erie and share it with people that might be interested in visiting here. Realistically, our audience is anybody within a 5-hour car ride to get here.
Okay.
We don't lean heavily onto air travel. Air travel comes into play with sports tourism and meetings and conventions a little bit, but our leisure travel are in the drive market that are coming here. And we've shifted as an organization over the last few years to lean pretty heavily into data to learn more about our visitors and where they're coming from. And it's led to some interesting observations. We thought that Buffalo would be across the board a regular destination or a regular target for us. They don't necessarily seem to come here that much in the summer, but they come here in the winter. And now we thought it was a year-round thing. We've learned over the last year that there might be an opportunity in Columbus. We've done a little bit of marketing there. It's a young, growing city, obviously anchored by Ohio State University. There's quite a bit of wealth there, and the best part is they don't have water. And we're only 3.5 hours away, and we get this beautiful lake and Presque Isle State Park. So we've been slowly trying to move into Columbus to share what we have, because we do think that's an opportunity for us in the future.
What about deep into Pennsylvania? Of course, you've got Pittsburgh, you've got Youngstown, Sharon, but like as you go deeper into the woods, if you will, State College, Johnstown, Altoona. Are those all potential places where you market?
I think we're sort of learning. We from a convention standpoint, in meeting standpoint, Harrisburg is the place to be. We were there a week ago doing a meeting with local meeting planners because they're based in Harrisburg for all those associations and stuff connected to the state capitol. I think we've learned after a little while here that State College and Harrisburg, Hershey may not be that interested in coming this way. They might be more interested in going to the shore. And that's the other thing that we're trying to skew that mindset. For years, they've just gone to the shore. Well, we got a shore here too. We got beaches, and So we're working on that as well. But again, that's the data side of things that shows, is our marketing resonating in those communities? And technology has changed to the point where we can monitor that on a weekly basis and decide whether something's working and whether something's speaking to somebody or whether it's not. Thus the Columbus side of things, sort of seeing that we threw a little bit of stuff to the wall to see what was going to stick, and it's sticking in Columbus maybe a little bit better than Center State.
Talk a little bit about costs and things. What a weekend in Erie should cost. Is it affordable? We found it interesting. Just again, this is just my lived experience. Our family, my mom's family, is from NEPA, from Northeast PA, and but we've tried to move the family reunion around a little bit because we have a lot of family members up here in Erie. We have a lot of family members live in Ocean City, Maryland area. We're as expensive as Ocean City in a lot of ways, and it turns out that Scranton Wilkes-Barre is probably the cheapest because is there, are hotels rightly priced and so on? Again, it's a free market, right?
I can get you a great deal on a family reunion in December or January.
Right.
You can get great rates. It's no lie. We're a summer destination, and the hotels set the rates. We don't have anything to do with that. We are the benefactor of higher rates because we are operated by a percentage of the hotel tax. So obviously, if it's higher rate, more tax is generated.
Have you seen that since COVID? I mean, it seems like across the board, I'm paying 30-40% more for a hotel across the country.
Again, I spend a lot of time in Portland, Maine, and I see the same thing, that it's more expensive to stay in hotels. It's not just here. Time of the season has everything to do with it. Using Portland as the example, their summer rates are probably double what they are in the winter because it's a summer destination, and we're a summer destination of a different ilk. And it's sort of the world we live in. And, I believe we are affordable. We have a certain sector of quality hotels that would fall in the affordable category. The reality is, in the summer, if you want to stay down on the bayfront, it's a little more expensive. And those hotels are catering to the people that have the disposable income that can afford to pay those rates. But that, again, I don't think it stops people from coming here because there are other quality lodging opportunities, Airbnbs, that you can come and stay and enjoy the summer here at an affordable cost.
Talk about the quality of our dining scene. Again, the Visit Erie does Restaurant Week where the locals kind of get to experience at a discount some of the things each January. Would you say that we're getting more sophisticated, more diverse with dining?
I think that's accurate. I think, you see the restaurants that are popping up, particularly right now on the Bayfront with the growth down there. And I believe with the AC Hotel, another rooftop restaurant that's in our future. I think when you see those things, the expectation is they're high quality. And I think that just raises the level of quality across the board, and you're seeing more and more restaurants popping up, and I think it's the nature of the business that not all of them survive. Right. But we have a great mixture of opportunities here to be able to cater to just about anybody that comes to town that is looking for something in particular.
Talk a little bit. I mean, Oliver's has been around now for a few years. You go down there, Oliver's Beer Garden. You go down there, you're like, now this is something I would see at the shore. I mean, it is kind of otherworldly. And I shouldn't say it that way. Of course, Erie deserves to have a high-quality bayfront experience, but that's a humdinger right there.
Game changer.
You think?
I think so. I think with all due respect to everything else that's going on there, Pier 6 and the Bay House are fantastic. The restaurants in the hotels are great. The Wharf is great. The Cove is great.
Yeah.
Oliver's Beer Garden is a whole different world. You can go down there on a Friday night and that place is bumping. And they've done a fantastic job there. I've never had the conversation with the Scots to ask if they're surprised by the success of,
right.
of that. But, I think it's a great addition to the atmosphere down on the bayfront. It just brings the whole place alive.
What are you excited about coming in the future? Of course, Christian, I call him Christian from California, is building the Trust Hotel, $60 million project. Again, it could be an absolute different experience in the Midtown there. What else are you excited about?
Well, I think I'm really excited about all the investment that's being made in the developments that are going on. I just sat in on a session with the Secretary of Transportation, talking about specifically, obviously, transportation in the Bayfront Parkway, which is at least part of it is supposed to open up the State Street part by October 7th, and he almost said he would guarantee it's going to be earlier than that. He was hoping for late September, which is a step in the right direction. But you mentioned the Trust Hotel is going to be a fantastic addition. The flagship City Commons that just received CRIS funding. Again, another great thing on our menu of visitor experience. And, we're focusing on hospitality. We're focusing on things that are going to improve the visitor experience. You've got the Market House that's coming down the pipe. The AC Hotel that's down there. There is a tremendous amount of development happening right now that is going to improve the visitor experience, and that's our goal for Visit Erie, is to find a way to play a role in helping those projects get to the finish line, which would be difficult for us because we aren't builders, we're marketers.
Right.
But when they get to the finish line, do what we do best, which is scream from the top of the roofs how great it is.
Is there different approaches to marketing? Let's say the hotels along 90. Again, those were built out 20 years ago and again filled up. It was like there's Splash there, there's the sports park, but also just options for people to visit. Is that different marketing that versus marketing the Bayfront? Again, you guys are kind of more, like you say, you shout it out, just come and then maybe find your place where you're going to land, right?
Yeah, I think you're right there, Joel. I mean, our responsibility is to market Erie County.
Yeah.
Now, Presque Isle is the jewel of Erie County, and but our job is to market Erie. We don't necessarily market one hotel over another. We let the consumer make that decision on where they're going to stay. And I think a lot of that is, brand loyalty. People are going to stay where they want to stay. It's going to be finances to determine, what they can afford when they come here. And so we just want to make sure that all the other stuff that's going on in Erie, hey, these are the things you can come here for. The festivals that are here almost every weekend. I mentioned the Sunflower the phenomenon that has overtaken us, and we're just trying to say, hey, this is a great place to come and visit, so come here, and they make the decisions on where they want to stay, whether it be in a hotel, an Airbnb, or a campground.
Let's talk about some of the opportunities. Do you think that we could do a better job of cross-promotion and building packages? Let's say, hey, for this amount, you can go to Waldemere Splash and the zoo or something for families. I mean, do we need to be putting stuff like that together?
They're out there.
Okay.
That we don't see that as a role of Visit Erie.
Okay.
We're happy to make those introductions. And say, hey, this might be a good connection, or if somebody's talking about, I'd like to make this connection to create a package, we might say, well, these hotels due to proximity make sense, and then we try to promote those packages. But that really has to start with the attraction, the hotel, the restaurant, whoever's trying to create that package. And again, then if they share it with us, we're more than happy to shout it from the rooftops and tell people about it. But, it really starts with the bottom line before it gets to us.
Talk about threats. We've covered on my show. We've had some experiences with some of these youth takeovers, Dobbins Landing. We've got a homeless panhandling issue here. Do you guys try to determine threats, and how do you mitigate some of those to be a more welcoming place?
Well, that's the visitor experience again, is, how do we play a positive role in the visitor experience? And we're part of those conversations. We want to be at the table to try to figure out how we can support efforts, whether it be through marketing or any kind of funding that we might have available. But certainly it's something that we're watching because, if something's going on down at Dobbins Landing that's not right, that has a negative impact for the visitor experience. And I think we all know if someone has a good time somewhere, they'll tell one person. If they have a bad time somewhere, they're going to tell 100 people.
Oh, my gosh.
And we really do have to try to mitigate those things. And we have to be at the table for those conversations to learn where we can have a positive impact. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to move forward in my new position.
Yeah, talk about what the next 3 to 6 months going into the holidays look like for you. Are we getting some of the buses back from Canada for shopping at the mall? And I don't know. What are some of the things that you're working on?
Well, it's interesting. The first quarter of 2026 was one of the worst from a hospitality standpoint, based on hotel tax. The second quarter of 2026 was the second best ever in organizational history, and the only one better was the year of the eclipse.
Wow.
We're hoping for great things. We'll get July numbers soon, and we're hoping we'll have a strong finish with September and with August and September. But to be honest with you, I'm not sure where we're going to be. Are we going to slide back to where we were to start the year once we get through into the fourth quarter? That's something that we're talking about. We're kicking off our fall campaign a little bit earlier this year to focus on, the foliage and all that. That starts August 31st, which is a couple weeks earlier than we've ever done that before, to try to get ahead of the planning curve.
Sure.
And I guess we're just going to hope for good weather. There was a monsoon of things that collided to start 2026. The weather wasn't very good. Inflation, gas prices started going up. I think we started feeling more the effect of the Canadian visitor, which hasn't come back for a number of reasons. Geopolitical, the exchange rate on the dollar, gas prices, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. At least we're not expecting that to happen anytime soon. I think we're going to be living with a non-Canadian audience here for a while, not like it used to be. So, I wish I had a crystal ball to take a look at how 2026 is going to end. But again, our hope with the weather we've had, that summer's going to end strong. And I hope that our marketing that carries us through the fall will encourage a lot more visitors to avoid plummeting out. I don't want to go back to where we started in 2026.
Let me share a story. We were remember when we did you had that water sports weekend. Well, it's 2019, I want to say, where you had the water jets and so on. And we were doing a live remote from the Sheraton, and this family from Cleveland comes in. It's like, we love coming to Erie. It's like the best kept secret, so there's this, they have water too, but they're coming from Cleveland to come to our beaches and to our amenities. And he's like, I just hope that nobody else finds out about it. So that's your job, is to disappoint that guy.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do that. And the thing that I've leaned back on 13 years in the Visit Erie organization is, if we get them here, 99% of the time they're going to love it.
Absolutely.
And then they're going to come back. And we just need to continue to figure out how to get people here so that they have a great experience and just want to come back. And, we've been pretty successful on that side of things. And but that's a continuous work forward for Visit Erie.
Mark Jeanneret. He is the president and CEO of Visit Erie. Come back soon, sir. We enjoy our conversation here.
Same. Thank you.
You got it. It is Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, moving along at 6 minutes before the hour.